just a second. We'll go by there. You guys all good? What?
We'll be getting going in just a few seconds here.
Oh, yeah, if you want to go, you can sit in the back row.
Oh, the back row. Yeah, yeah, because I'm not going to be on. So that's why, yeah, yeah.
Heads up. Go on stage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on National Child Day, a day meant to honor the rights of Canada's 8 million children. My name is Andrea Chrysanthou, and I'm chair of the board for Children First Canada. Today should be a day of celebration. Instead, we're here to sound the alarm. Across this country, children are being exploited, extorted, bullied, manipulated, and exposed to dangers that no child should ever face, all because the digital spaces they occupy every day are not designed with their safety in mind. We've waited years for action. In that time, too many kids have been hurt, too many families shattered, and too many preventable tragedies have occurred. We're here today because, make no mistake, Canada's children are in danger, and the clock is ticking. At 12 noon, we will launch the Countdown for Kids, a 40-day national call for Parliament to act, because we cannot start another year sacrificing one more child to online harms. The Countdown for Kids is a powerful national effort championed by organizations, including charities like Children First Canada, Inspiring Healthy Futures, Future Ready Minds, Child and Youth Advocacy Centres of Canada, Treehouse Child and Youth Advocacy Centre, the Amanda Todd Legacy Society, Parachute, and the End Violence Everywhere initiative. It also includes hospitals and health organizations, including the Canadian Medical Association, Sick Kids, CHEO, IWK Health Centre, McMaster Children's Hospital, Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital, and CAMH. Additionally, it includes technology experts like the DAYS at Toronto Metropolitan University, Unplugged Canada, Phone Free Schools, and Fair Play, and private sector partners, including TELUS and many more. Most importantly, this movement is being driven by parents who have tragically lost their children to online harms, and by children and youth who experience these issues every day, who have been bravely advocating with the government to ensure children's rights to safety, dignity, and protection are upheld. We're asking the government to retable the Online Harms Act and rename it the Online Safety Act before midnight on December 31st. And we're calling on every member of Parliament and every senator across all party lines to treat this as the national emergency that it is. We need to get this done. This is Canada's moment to choose protection over politics, leadership over delay, and children's safety over corporate profit. Before we hear from our speakers, it's important to acknowledge how we got here. For 2 decades, governments trusted tech companies to do the right thing. But what did kids get in return? Addictive design, algorithms that amplify harm, soaring rates of anxiety, depression, and self-harm, recommendation systems that push children towards harmful content, and a business model that treats children as a renewable extraction resource. These harms aren't glitches, they're features. Features that are profitable, features that keep kids engaged regardless of the cost to their well-being. And unlike every other industry that affects children, from cars to pharmaceuticals to toys to food safety, the tech industry has been allowed to self-regulate with tragic consequences. This debate is not about censorship. It's about conduct, the behavior of some of the most powerful companies in the world, and their responsibility to children. No corporation's profit margin should ever outweigh a child's safety. Big tech's lobbyists cannot win against a united front of parents, children, doctors, experts, and lawmakers who decide that enough is enough. And that is why we're here today. To begin with, it's my honor to introduce someone who sees firsthand the toll that this crisis is taking on our children's youth. Dr. Margot Burnell is president of the Canadian Medical Association, and she is representing thousands of physicians who are treating rising levels of anxiety, depression, trauma, and self-harm linked to unsafe digital environments. Dr. Burnell, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah, for the opportunity to address this important national issue. When the Liberal government first introduced Bill C-63 in February of 2024, the Canadian Medical Association commended its efforts to foster a safer digital environment for Canadians, including children, patients, community leaders, and healthcare professionals. We applauded its goal of reducing harms to people living in Canada because of dangerous online content. We supported the requirement for social media service operators to act responsibly and develop design features to protect those under 18 years of age. Our position hasn't changed. Every day, physicians see firsthand the negative health impacts that social media use can have on developing brains, including anxiety, depression, trauma, and the thoughts of suicide. Increasingly, online harms are contributing to a public health crisis amongst youth, with devastating effects on their mental health, self-esteem, and even their physical safety. The CMA strongly believes in fostering healthy childhood development and therefore strongly supports the Countdown for Kids campaign. As the national voice of Canada's physicians, we stand with this coalition of parents, children, and experts in calling for the reintroduction of the Online Safety Act, a policy that can help save lives and support children and their families. The federal government needs to act now. Social media addiction is a significant and growing problem among young people. A 2023 study from the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health found that in Ontario, 78% of students aged 12 to 18 are spending 3 to more hours a day in front of a screen. While social media does provide some benefits for society, children and youth face significant risks and challenges on these unregulated platforms. Social media platforms are engineered to encourage compulsive use and emotional polarization. For children and youth, this can lead to severe harms, including but not limited to diminished self-worth, body dysmorphia, and self-harm. Digital platforms increasingly function as public forums where children and youth interact, learn, and socialize. However, the largely unregulated nature of these environments exposes them to potentially harmful individuals, people they would likely be shielded from in physical, supervised settings. This lack of oversight creates significant risks, including exploitation, manipulation, and exposure to inappropriate content. We need social media service providers to be held accountable, to develop tools to block problematic users and create processes that flag harmful content. We need them to integrate age-appropriate design features on their platforms that protect children. This legislation can ensure that happens. Misinformation is another danger of social media use for young Canadians. A survey commissioned by the CMA and conducted by Abacus Data paints a troubling picture. 40% of respondents reported mental distress or heightened anxiety due to misleading health information. This experience was highest among millennials and Gen Z and is consistent with an increased use of social media among these groups. False health information damages the trust between Canadians and their healthcare providers and even leads people to delay necessary medical treatment. All of us deserve the right to access an online environment free of misinformation, discrimination, bullying, violence, and sexual exploitation. We urge the federal government to reintroduce Bill C-63 before the end of the year to address these harms. Together, we can help protect the health, safety, and well-being of young people across the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burnell. Our next speaker is someone whose voice has reached homes across the country and whose family has recently experienced a frightening reminder of the risks children face wherever they go. Farah Nasser is an award-winning journalist, global speaker, and mother. Farah, thank you for your courage and leadership. Please join us.
Thank you so much. I've spent 25 years as a journalist and news anchor in Canada, and I've covered these stories. I've interviewed Carol Todd, whose daughter died at 15, and many teens who have suffered anxiety and depression because of social media. But about a month ago, something happened to our family that really woke me up. We were in our family vehicle, a Tesla, when my son was playing around with the controls and found Grok. Now, Grok is Elon Musk's AI, and it had just popped into our car. There was no, accepting it or not. It just came with an update. And I'm pretty good with AI. I tell my kids, experiment with it. It's going to be the future. So he said, can I use it? I said, sure, try it. So he pressed it and asked the chat bot whether it liked Ronaldo better or Messi. And the chatbot said, oh, I like Ronaldo. And my son was very happy to hear, the chatbot trash talk Messi a little bit. And then the chatbot said we should celebrate their, their common love of Cristiano Ronaldo. And then the chatbot out of nowhere said, you should send me some nudes. My 12-year-old son. My 10-year-old was in the back with her best friend, and her best friend turned to her and said, what are nudes? And my daughter said, I think it's something to do with being naked. And then my daughter turned to me with a question of her own. Mommy, why is the car asking us to be naked? Very good question. I didn't have an answer for that. And I had to have a conversation about nudes and photos and AI and social media with my children that night. I'm somebody who has access to all the information. I have covered these stories. I'm on top of it. And even then, I was at a loss for words of what to say. Our technology is changing so quickly. Andrea was just telling me a story about how she was streaming a show with her child, and an ad came up, a pop-up came up, an ad that said, do you want an AI girlfriend? And if that's not bad enough, it said, upload a picture of someone you know, and we could make it into an AI girlfriend. That's terrifying. This technology is changing so quick. That's why this is urgent. That's why this is an emergency right now. If someone like me who has access to that information is at a loss for words, can you imagine parents who don't? We parents are doing our best. We are trying everything. We are trying to be on top of everything. The tech companies are not going to police themselves. They have no incentive to. It's time the government now stands up and does the right thing for our kids. We are so behind. There's countries like Australia, the UK, the EU, where they are putting in practice these policies. And Silicon Valley knows that our policies are laxed, and that's why our kids are now beta testers for their latest experiments. Something needs to change. Thank you.
You're so right. Thank you so much, Farah. Our next speaker is just 11 years old. But this message carries more clarity, and his message carries more clarity and urgency than many adults who are in power. Zachary Fathali is a member of Children First Canada's Youth Advisory Council and our Young Canadians Parliament. He represents the 8 million children growing up in digital spaces that were never designed with them in mind. Zachary, we're honored to have you here today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zachary. I'm 12 years old, and I'm a member of Children First Canada's Youth Advisory Council and the Young Canadians Parliament. I'm here to speak up for kids like me, kids who are growing up surrounded by kids that are surrounded by technology that's supposed to help us, but sometimes puts us at risk. Most kids my age are online every day on Instagram, Fortnite, Snapchat, and TikTok, and even using AI to do their schoolwork. We go online to learn, play games, and talk to friends, but we also see things we shouldn't. We get messages from strangers, see bullying, and sometimes even things that make us scared or confused. It's hard to know what's real or safe anymore, especially in this AI era. Today, children face challenges never seen before, and the law should adapt to this new reality. We've been told for years that change is coming, but kids are still getting hurt every day. Parents can't do this alone. Kids can't do this alone. We need the government and tech companies to do their jobs to make sure that being online doesn't mean being unsafe. Every day that goes by without this law is another day that children can be harmed. The government promised to fix this back in 2021. Back then, I was only 8 years old, and they said it would happen in their first 100 days. Now, I'm 12, and more than 1,460 days have gone by. That's a third of my childhood so far, and we're still waiting. They introduced the bill earlier this year, but it never passed. And while we wait, kids keep getting hurt. We're asking the government to stop delaying and to bring it back right now. This time as the Online Safety Act, so kids can finally be protected. We shouldn't have to start yet another year to losing more children to something that can be prevented. Every day matters. Kids deserve to grow up in a world where the internet is safe. We're counting on the adults in charge to make that happen. Thank you.
There's no one better than Zachary to talk about what this really means. Sorry. Okay. Unfortunately, we were supposed to be joined here today with Carol Todd, who is the mother of Amanda Todd. She is also the founder of the Amanda Todd Legacy Society. She tragically lost her daughter, Amanda, at the age of 15 due to online exploitation. Carol has dedicated her life to educating parents and young people and advocating for systemic change so that no other family should face what she did. Carol's in Vancouver, but she was not able to join us, so she has sent a statement that I am honored to read. Bear with me because it's a lot. She writes, Carol writes, as a parent who has lost a child to online exploitation, I know all too well the devastating pain of such a loss, and it is a feeling that I would not want for anyone. Sadly, after Amanda's death, there were more tragic stories of child loss due to online harms. For years, parents like me have worked endlessly to educate families and raise awareness, but awareness alone won't save lives. We cannot keep placing the burden on families to solve a problem this big. Protecting children online must be a shared responsibility, and that starts with leadership, accountabilities, and laws that put kids' safety first. It's time for our government and tech companies to step up and take responsibility and build systems that protect children. Finally, joining us today virtually is Children's First Canada's founder and CEO, Sarah Austin, who's joining us virtually from Calgary. In the interest of time, Sarah will not be giving a statement, but she is here to answer your questions. I just want to close this with a thank you to our speakers for your bravery and your leadership and your commitment, and to thank everyone in the press gallery for your attention. As we close, I just want to remind you one more time why we're here today. Today is National Child Day, a day meant to honor and protect the rights of our children, not in theory, but in practice, not with words, but with acts. We are calling on every member of Parliament and every senator across all parties to do the following. Table the Online Safety Act before December 31st. Treat this as the national emergency that it is. Show children that their safety, their dignity, and their lives come before politics and profit. At noon today, the countdown begins. 40 days to demonstrate that this country puts children first. Let's make sure we end this year with action and begin the next one with hope. We'll now open the floor for questions.
So you've said you want I just want to make sure that we understand the exact legislation that you're asking the government to bring forward. Would you like to see the old C-63 brought back in the form that it was in before, or would you like to see changes to it?
Sarah, do you want to answer that one?
Thank you. We are calling for the reintroduction of Bill 63, specifically sections 1 and 4, where there is clear consensus amongst stakeholders from coast to coast to coast around the importance of transparency and accountability and the duty of care to protect children and youth and all Canadians online. We know that there are opportunities for enhancement to the legislation, but in the interest of time and in the interest of protecting children and youth, we want to see the legislation retabled, and there'll be opportunities once it goes to committee for further enhancements as experts, children, youth, parents weigh in. This is an ever-evolving environment. From the time that the legislation was tabled several months ago to today, we've seen rapid escalation of AI harms in particular, but we simply cannot afford further delays. And so we want the government to retable sections 1 and 4 of the legislation and opportunities for enhancement of the legislation when it moves to committee.
Do you think, because that legislation was drafted a couple of years ago, and you just mentioned these things are moving so fast, do you think that it's adequate in dealing with the harms of AI chatbots specifically?
This is an ever-evolving environment, and where there's certainly a need to make enhancements, particularly around the AI protections. And so we see that an opportunity as this legislation is tabled and as it goes to committee for further enhancements to be made. But there's not going to be a silver bullet to the situation. We're going to have to see it move forward, and for the legislation to go into place, and for continued review and enhancement as the AI environment continues to evolve.
Did you add another question?
Sure. I mean, is there somebody else?
We still have a little bit of time.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What do you make of this government's attitude toward AI regulation? The minister has come out. He said he doesn't want to over-index on regulation because China, China and the US are not pursuing that path. So Canada, shouldn't go it alone. I just wanted to get your reaction to that attitude and those comments from the AI minister.
Sarah, do you want to take it?
I think, what you're hearing today from everyone who's spoken bravely and testified to the grave risks that our kids have taken, we need the government to treat this as the crisis that it is. We've heard several examples this morning already about the grave risks that kids face to their health and safety, their mental well-being, and where their lives are literally on the line. We need this government to treat this as the crisis that it is, and to treat it with a sense of urgency, and to work with children, youth, parents, and experts from across the country to create the regulations that are needed to hold tech companies accountable and to ensure that our kids are safe in every digital space that they occupy.
And the minister has said that he's considering kind of targeted he's considering putting forward some specifics, like, for example, age verification for chatbots. Is something like that, what is your response to kind of the idea that the government might put forward more like targeted specific actions as opposed to retabling the Online Harms Act?
Children, youth, parents, medical experts, children's charities, tech experts have been consistent in their position that we need the Online Safety Act retabled, that there are opportunities to make enhancements around AI, but we can't just carve out little pieces of this. We need comprehensive legislation that deals with all of the digital harms that our children are exposed to every single day. The debate on this is over. We can't take a fragmented approach to this. We need to look at the comprehensive protections that our children need to be safe online, and we need all government ministers to work together in a unified front. This includes Justice, Heritage, the Minister for AI, and many, many others, to work together with a whole of government approach, working together with children, youth, and parents and experts to find solutions that will protect our children's lives.
Yeah, we're joined by so many experts across the board. You heard me. Sorry, we're joined by so many experts across the board. You heard me rhyme off so many, and everyone is absolutely on the same page that everything that we need to get this bill passed as is so that we can move forward. Absolutely, there will be changes, but right now, I don't think there's a parent in this country who is not worried. As I'm a mom, Farah's mom, we talk about this all the time. I'm on group chats with other moms in my neighborhood, and it on a daily basis, it comes up on how do we protect our kids? We can't, Zachary said, we can't do this alone. We keep trying. Farah said, we keep trying. We need the support of our government. If not now, then when?
Thank you. That's all the time we had. This concludes the press conference. Merci, c'est tout le temps que nous avions. Ceci conclut la conférence de presse.
Merci.
Thank you. You did a great job. Yeah, thanks. Thank you for sharing your story. Of course.